Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first Science Day of the CCF 2022. This morning, Central European time, war broke out in Europe as Russian forces started to bomb Ukraine major cities. That's another black spot on European history in the making. On another battlefront, it's my pleasure on behalf of Lippeke Goyle and the entire CCF team and myself, of course, to welcome you to the next 2 days of exciting basic, translational, and clinical research in the fight against Carcinoma. We have some really exciting sessions, and we hope you will enjoy all these sessions in person and also be very engaging with all the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo Jesper's comments. We're so glad to be able to be in person after 2 years of being remote. The Carcinoma Foundation still kept everything going during these 2 years, and it's great to stay connected, but it's really wonderful to give everyone and to get a real hug from people. Welcome, and we look forward to a great day.
Welcome. I'm Stacie, Lindsey. I'm the CEO of the Clangio Carcinoma Foundation, and we welcome you today. We're so grateful to be together. It's been a long 2 years that we've been separated, and even though a lot of work has gotten done, it's been so good to see everyone in person, and we're so thankful that you were able to come and be here with us and that we can continue this important work. Let's see, here we go. We want to thank our sponsors. We're so grateful for all they've done to make this possible, and we couldn't do it without them, and we're grateful to have such good partnerships. We've had some great meetings with all of you, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about some of the things that we're doing. Let's see. Here we go. So this is my brother, Mark. This picture on the left, this is when we were in high school. He was a football star, basketball star, and I was a cheerleader. It was much different times, and I don't think we could have ever considered that he would be gone and that I would be standing in front of a scientific conference giving a talk. That was not on our minds, and as many of you have experienced as cholangiocarcinoma has come into your life, it's changed your plans and your life path. Mark was 38 when he was diagnosed. This is his little family. 2 months after he was diagnosed, their fourth son, Lucas, was born. On the right-hand side is me and my sisters, Kelly and Amy. We were his advocates along with our parents. And when he got close to passing away, when all treatment options had been were over, we were driving home from the doctor, and he asked me, what my plans were when he passed away. And I know that most of you know this story, but I know that many of you are new. And I said, I don't know. Last night, as we were coming home from the walk, Steve West took me aside, and we had just a little chat, and he said something to me that kind of just made me remember this conversation. But I was only thinking about Mark. I just wanted to help him, but he was thinking about you. He was thinking about what would happen in the future to all of the patients and the caregivers and their families. So I just wanted to say thank you to Mark. So I've already had 2 days of total weeping, so, welcome to the Cholangiocarcinoma Scientific Conference. But it really is it's so key to our work to be with you in person and to develop and have these kinds of relationships. It makes our work so meaningful. Melinda and I were having conversations about 6 months ago. We're seeing that we've probably saw the doctors more on Zoom the last 2 years than we've seen them in the last 5 years, but it isn't the same. And the same thing with the patients. We have staff members who are new, who've worked with us for 2 years, who have never met a patient or any of our scientific advisors or It's just important. It's important that we're together. So I just want to thank you again for being here. So that being said, collaboration is a key part of the success of any organization, executed through a clearly defined vision and mission and based on transparency and constant communication. I love this because I think most of you know that we've been working on our 5-year strategic plan, and many of you have been involved in that process. And part of that has been focus groups and personal interviews and trying to really collaborate with the stakeholders in this community so that we can move forward in ways that everyone feels like real progress is being made, and especially with the patients and their families in mind. So these are CCF's core values: patients first, collaboration, innovation, and urgency. And everything that we do centers around these values. No matter how big we get, we don't ever want to lose these values. So our strategic plan focuses really on 3 things: supporting patients and their families, supporting research to find a cure, and funding so that we can operate as a world-class organization, because this is a global organization. Just to reiterate that, patients are at the heart of every single thing that we do. So I want to share with you just a few things. We go over more in depth with the patients on their day on a lot of the programming and activities that we do, but I want to share with the scientific community some of the important things that have been happening over the last year or two. So we have a lot of active volunteers, and what an active volunteer means is that they are engaged in the activities and the programs and the initiatives of the foundation. We did a survey this year of all of the active volunteers. About 99 volunteers returned the information. They gave this year almost 7,000 hours of service to this foundation and to the patients and to the caregivers, to the medical advisory boards in every possible way. So these are also volunteer. They are volunteer fundraisers. In the last 4 years, there have been 2,570 Facebook campaigns that have raised almost $1 million for research. It's amazing that these volunteers, who are completely, most of them out of their comfort zone doing these kinds of activities, but they are committed to helping this community increase the research and do the kind of work that needs to be done. You can see there we have a lot of fundraising events that are yearly: the Quack Out, A Matter of Hope, Michelle's Hot Peeps Beat. That's my favorite because they gave me a really awesome t-shirt that's hilarious. A Hike for Jill, Oktoberfest, Jingle for Janet, all of these amazing events, and it just blows us away, some of these volunteers, and the amount of time and effort and attention to detail that they put in, and we're going to talk about some of these superstars a little bit later. Moving for a Cure is one of CCF's fundraisers, and you can see the difference. We had 170 participants in 2020 and over 500 participants in 2021, and almost doubled what was raised. The Turkey Trot in the fall, the same thing, more participants, almost tripled the amount of sponsorships and doubled the amount raised for research. Last year, 2021, was our 15th anniversary. I can hardly believe that we've been doing this for almost 16 years. You can see at the top we started an anniversary steering committee to talk about what kinds of activities we wanted to do to commemorate this milestone. And Barbara DuPont and Kelly Giles headed this up. They wanted to raise $150,000 for research among all kinds of other activities, and they were successful in doing that. We're so grateful to these volunteers who have just done such amazing work. If you're not aware of the Journey of Hope, what a party this was. What an amazing effort the Fleischers made in honor of their sweet daughter, Sarah, who was an amazing volunteer for the foundation for years. He drove a car 15,383 miles. He visited 48 states. He went to many of the institutions where his daughter was treated. He met with the clinicians. He met with they met with her friends. He did all kinds of ambassador work. He had all kinds of interviews. He just did a wonderful job, and it was such an amazing event, and we're so grateful. This year we have two really interesting, I said this yesterday, but it just is shocking. We all just have to jump in as volunteers and do what we do. I know that most of you don't want to stand up here and run a scientific meeting, and I don't want to swim the English Channel or run a marathon every month of the year. Not doable for me. But Jonathan Whiting is supporting his wife, and he is swimming the English Channel, and this is amazing, and we're going to be following him, and you can see everything that he's doing, and it's fantastic. Dolorian Ostrom is running a marathon a month for the entire year in honor of his wife to raise money. It's what's called Racing for the Hope, and you can follow their journey as well. So I want to just talk very quickly about advocacy, because that's what we do, is we advocate for the patients. And there are 4 different ways that CCF serves in the advocacy community. One is supporting patients and their families. That's our most important responsibility. The second is research advocacy, and we'll talk just a little bit about that later, and this is where Melinda shines. These are well-trained advocates who have a good understanding of cholangiocarcinoma and the parts of the science, and can give input and help in areas that they are needed. Fundraising advocacy, you just saw several of those events that they have done over the year to help raise funds for research. And then political and public policy. And this is an area where we are just kind of dipping our toe into the pool, but an important issue where we can influence public policy to carve out specific monies for cholangiocarcinoma research. So while COVID was difficult for all of us, we were isolated from families. There was a lot of pain and suffering. A lot of things happened. But it was a pretty good couple of years for cholangiocarcinoma. I think we would all agree, because we saw 3 FDA approvals. Amazing to think about what happened in this time. The work kept moving forward. And we're so grateful for the companies who stuck in there and made this happen and partnered with us. We also saw a new opportunity open up with the readout of the data from the TOPAZ trial at GI ASCO, and we'll see a presentation from Dr. O a little later. This opens up a lot of new opportunities for cholangiocarcinoma patients as well, and we're excited to see more data and follow-up research that will happen here as well. So I'm not going to go over much about the drug pipeline, but this is one of the areas where we've been heavily involved. It is very important to us that we see good treatments coming down the pipeline for cholangiocarcinoma patients. And the discovery and the drug pipeline, from the beginning discovery through phase 4 clinical trials and commercial approvals, are really important so that all patients get access to treatments. And so you can see on those different colored areas that go with the phases, the ways that the foundation has been involved with these companies to try and help get good treatments for patients. So this is just a little graphic about the drug pipeline, but this is really what it looks like as these companies move down through these phases. They're working with the investigators, they're working with the scientists, they're working with the foundation, we're putting together patient materials, we're doing all kinds of things to help you be educated about the options that are open to you, about clinical trial options. And then as they drop through and get FDA approval, then we have a real opportunity for all the patients, wherever they're located, to have access to these drugs. So I just want to show you a quick timeline. We are careful to document all the interactions that we have with these companies, all the ways that we're working as advocates to help these drugs move through the pipeline and give these kinds of opportunities to the patients. And you can see all kinds of, patient advisory boards and ad boards and patient spotlights and patient forum studies and surveys, and these are this is not full, this is just a summary, but we have these for each of the companies that we work with so that we can understand the impact that we're having. These are the research advocates. This is a group of volunteers who have donated enormous amounts of time, their personal time, studying and learning and being trained by specialists so that they can give input where needed. And if you look on the right-hand side, there's scientists and radiation oncologists and engineers and regulatory and clinical studies specialists and bioinformatics science, and there's a gentleman who does AI and software engineering and clinical research coordinators. But it's important to note that there's also dads and moms and brothers and sisters. These positions are so important, and this training is so important, and we need their help, and we're so grateful for the work that they're doing to help us help each other, or to help us inform industry partners and do this work together. So we're really grateful for all that they're doing. These are some of the ways that they're representing the patient voice. On the NCI Hepatobiliary Task Force, the PASC NCI, the Steering Committee, ECOG Akron. You can see they're serving on committees, they're learning, they're interacting, and then they bring that back and help the patients interpret what's happening. Such important work. So, because this is a room full of clinicians and scientists, I wanted to ask you to just think about what makes a good advocate, because you can help us identify patients and caregivers who could be good advocates. And you can identify them. These are the patients who are coming in, and they're asking a lot of good questions. And they're asking how they can be engaged or involved. And they're interested in connecting with others. They're bringing research questions to you and asking for your opinion, and maybe they're bringing publications in. And they're forward thinking, they're looking at next steps. And you can connect them to CCF so that we can engage them in this program, and Melinda can be involved with them, and we can get them trained, and they can help the entire community. So just be watchful for those patients and their family members who are interacting with you, who you think might be good advocates with some training, and please connect them to us. So I wanted to share with you a couple of programs. We started about 5 months ago a newly diagnosed portal on the website, and we've been working on this for a long time. We wanted to get it just right. So what happens is we use Facebook ads and Google ads to, they pop up when the patient puts in, bile duct cancer or cholangiocarcinoma, and an ad comes up and directs them to the foundation. And there they receive a series of emails over 8 weeks. They get patient and care. Can you imagine if you're a newly diagnosed patient and you sign up for this, and the next thing that you get in your email is a video from Melinda, from a 12-year survivor, who tells you that there is hope and that we're here to help you. And we've heard from these patients over and over again. We have almost 700 patients that have signed up for this in the last 5 months. They get this email series, and then they get care kits. And I just want to remind you that because of the sponsors of this program, we have given out about 700 free care kits with some information and helpful things for these patients. And so we're going to be assembling 1,500 of those today after dinner. All of us together are going to do a little service project so that we can give these to these patients. And just as a reminder, on your table, you will see there are 2 little white baskets. And in one of those baskets are blank cards. Those are for the patients who are going to receive these care kits. And you can write just a small, simple note, there's hope, and sign your name. And we'll put those in envelopes, and we'll put those into the care kit. We just want them to have a little note. You can, once you sign one or put a little note in it, you can just stick it into the other basket, and we'll pick those up. So just a little bit of information. The other thing that's has been really helpful about the newly diagnosed program portal is that the patients take a survey when they first come in, and then a survey at the end of those 8 weeks and those emails, so that we know if we're making an impact. So 61% of those who come into the portal are patients and 39% are caregivers. 90% of them are newly connected within this year. There we go. You can see we asked them what type of cholangiocarcinoma they have. 48% have intrahepatic, but still 41% of them are unsure. And then you can see here they're also letting us know the year they were diagnosed. So mostly 2021 and 2022. So I thought it's just interesting to note the email open rates for that email series that they're doing. So 60% open rate on those emails, that's the average, and a 20% click-through rate. It's pretty high for most of you who are in industry or business-minded. You can see that the average is a low 20s for an open rate for any email and about a 5% click-through rate. These are patients who are anxious to get help. They need information, and we're trying to get it to them as quickly as we can. So this is a really interesting slide because this is part of the survey as well. 42% of the patients surveyed were not encouraged to get a second opinion from a cholangiocarcinoma specialist. 44% were not provided with helpful educational materials at the institution in which they were seen. 54% were not informed about clinical trial options. 35% were not informed about biomarker testing. And 39% were not offered any hope about long-term survival. I just want you to think about how important it is that we get the correct information to these newly diagnosed patients. They need our help. We have to figure this out together as a community, how we can help them. So I already talked about the service project, and there'll be more information about where we're gonna go. We can go, it's during dinner time, and there'll be an announcement about that, but it's gonna be fun to do that together for these patients. So we know from publications that information helps patients improve compliance, reduces anxiety, create realistic expectation, feelings of safety and security, promotes self-care, and helps patients feel like they're gaining control. And that's what we're trying to do at the foundation, is give patients enough information to help them on their pathway. So connecting patients to CCF, we can help them get information about clinical trials. We can help them be a volunteer if that's something that they would like to do. We can give them information and brochures. We can connect them to information about financial services. We can get them connected to a mentor. We can give them information about the biliary emergency information card, which is important to their care if they have ascending cholangitis or if they have stents or drains. Lots of ways that we're trying to help the patients. So we know that better patient outcomes start with better patient engagement, and we're trying to get them engaged with CCF, and we're asking for your help as professionals to connect them to CCF so that we can help them. Just some additional information. There's a patient support group the first Thursday of the month and a caregiver support group the third Thursday of the month. They average 40 to 50 up to 75 attendees. Melinda's had on these calls. These patients are so anxious to know that they're not alone and to get good information. Also, there are educational webinars twice a month, the second and fourth Thursdays, and we average about 75 attendees on those webinars. Those are all on YouTube, and there are different topics of interest to the patients, but they're always very interested in clinical trial information. We have a brand new nutrition resource for the patients. We've been working on this for quite a long time. And you'll remember when we did the provider survey some years ago, one of the areas that you said you needed help was with the nutrition resources. So this was produced in partnership with the Oncology Dietitian Practice Group. And this is evidence-based nutrition. So it's created specifically for the cholangiocarcinoma community. There's guidance on key nutritional principles, and there are some suggested meal plans and recipes. So this will really help patients. This is free to the patients. They just need to be able to connect with CCF so that we can get them this information. And we can also get the physicians, if you'd like to have these on hand to pass them out, we're happy to get those to you as well. I'm going to talk just a little bit about our trusted partners. We work all the time with other partner and advocacy groups. They're really important to us. I think it's really important to know that we get reached out to all the time by people who want to start foundations in different countries, and we help them all we can. We've been working with a brand new Cholangiocarcinoma Association in Japan. We talk with them every month, and we're helping them with resources and materials. We want them to be able to give information to the patients in their area, and include them also in global alliances that we're involved in as well. It's really important to us, and we're so grateful for our partners who have helped us as well. These are some of our for-profit partners. We're very careful with the partnerships that we make to make sure that they're aligned with our values and that they're a trusted partner, and that the patients know that they can trust the companies that we're working with. We do a lot of background work to make sure that the patient's information is safe and that we're doing good work together. So we're really grateful for these companies that we're working with. Just wanted to point out, you're going to have a presentation from, there's more information at the booth at Citizen, and Citizen presented to the patients yesterday. But Citizen was purchased by Invitae about four or 5 months ago, and this is a really exciting thing that's happened because Citizen has all of the patient data. We have worked with them since the very beginning. We were one of the first, I think, the first advocacy group that they worked with, and our Scientific and Medical Advisory Board helped them put together the information that they're gathering from the patients. But they're being purchased by Invitae also gives us a lot of information on the background and genetics of cholangiocarcinoma patients. So we're excited about the data that's going to be available to the research community through this partnership. Also, you're going to hear from Komodo Health in the next couple of days, and they're going to talk about all of the things that they're doing. They're going to give you some readouts of some data that they have collected, and we're excited about that. I also want to remind you that we're going to have a talk on this a little bit later in the program about the new ICD codes. This is really important. This was a lot of work done by the Global Cholangiocarcinoma Alliance and AMMF, and Shahid Khan, Dr. Shahid Khan is going to be speaking later about how important it is that we get the variations in cholangiocarcinoma into the ICD codes so that we can really get the correct data. I want to also thank all of the professionals that are here, our Scientific and Medical Advisory Board members, our Nursing Advisory Board members, members of the International Cholangiocarcinoma Research Network. We just absolutely could not do this work without their assistance, and we're so grateful. And also to members of the Board of Directors who are here as well. We're so grateful for the guidance and leadership we have from them. Okay.